Good morning and welcome to Morning Coffee with Brigid. I'm Brigid Burke and it is now Friday the 9th of August. It is now, what is it? We're getting to a point in the year that when I was looking at the time that the sun comes up and I'm like, they're saying it's about 6:04 now. So we're still kind of okay, but you notice I have to have a light on behind me. It's also been very gray out. We have the remnants of some tropical storm. It was Hurricane Debbie, I think, and then it became Tropical Storm Debbie, and then now it's Tropical Depression, whatever they call it now. I think they change it to a number when it's a tropical depression. So in any case, it is the remnants of that storm. But they've kind of moved westward, so they're more over the center of Pennsylvania. Those who are not in the USA, PA is a very large state. It's a lot larger than New Jersey is, and we're just kind of on the edge there. And so we're going to probably get the outer rain bands as it starts to kind of move northeast, but we're not supposed to be in the direct path. The worst of it's actually supposed to be this afternoon, and the angels did tell me you're not going to end up going to Milford tomorrow. And the thing is, I had no plans to cancel appointments, but I kind of got that good morning, Sam. I'm just talking about our lovely tropical weather here that we're having today. I mean, it's humid, but there's a breeze because we're having tropical storm, tropical depression remnants, or whatever the heck it is. But I was going to I was supposed to have a Rouhani appointment this afternoon, but I kind of got from my guy, they were like, no, you're not going to go in tomorrow. You're not going to be going anywhere. Almost like, but basically that my client was going to rebook or do something. And as it turns out, last night around 9 o'clock, she emailed Corinna and said, hey, can I rebook? So, so I don't have to go anywhere today, which is great because the worst of the rain today is supposed to be mid-afternoon. It's supposed to be around, it actually just probably right around the time I would have been there for this appointment. And they're talking where it could be like, you could get like an inch or two of rain in an hour. It could be a lot. So, for me, now I just have to worry about the power staying on so that my industrial sump pump keeps working when the rain comes through. It was working pretty hard yesterday. But the good news is by tomorrow morning it's going to be absolutely gorgeous. So I'm looking forward to nice fall-like weather finally coming in, which is how it will be. So this morning again, I kind of woke up later. I think I woke up at almost, was it 10 after 6? No, it must have been a little bit before 6. I don't think it was quite that late. But literally I got out of bed and I was like, okay, just make the bed and get ready for the live stream. So I'm kind of, and I did kind of check in on whether or not I should have a topic for today. And basically it's just kind of like, let's just do some readings. Let's just make it a day where we do some readings. And, as we do the readings and see what the theme is, I think the topic will present itself if there's going to be one. So we'll call this a wild card day. No pun intended. So let's just see. I'm going to start with Cartouche. So let's see. What do, well, Sam, you're the only one who's joined me so far, but there's you and then whoever else might join in or anybody who might watch us later, what they need to know. We'll be glad to see the end of gray days, let me tell you. Like I said, I feel like I'm dressing lately in concert with the weather. Okay. Sorry. It's, okay, so what's our first thing there? Okay, we've got Sirius card. That's our first card. Now that's interesting that Sirius is showing up right after the Lionsgate, which was yesterday. And Sirius is a card of... now this is a card of expansion, so I feel like this is directly talking about the Lionsgate portal just because it does have to do with the alignment of Sirius with the Earth. Sirius, in a normal reading, I guess you would say, has to do with broadening your horizons, with thinking outside the box. Breadth of vision, I think, is the way that the Cartouche creator Murray Hope puts it. It's also about being, the physical, taking care of the physical body. Okay, so it's about that kind of stuff as well. But we have Sirius followed by air. So that suggests to me like a message that's connected with the Lionsgate. Okay, because air brings messages. I mean, it can have to do with movement and change, and it can have to do with certain communications, just more generally. But I feel like here it's saying, this is kind of like I mean, the official Lionsgate was yesterday, but that Sirius portal thing, the portal goes on until the 12th. So what this is saying here, okay, so we have Thoth as a factor to be considered. So Thoth is, again, this is actually a very, very deep card if we're talking about the spiritual side of it, because Thoth has to do with very deep spiritual healing. It can be healing on a physical level as well. But Thoth also is very much, it's about healing wounds and it's about healing karma. So I think what it's saying is the Lionsgate, what it does is there seems to be this, it's like, this is like almost a karmic release for a lot of people. I think there's a lot that's going on that is finally, I feel like it's like the kind of words that come into my head are like, there's like the cleanup crew. It's like, okay, we're cleaning up and clearing out all of the stuff that has been keeping us stuck both mentally and physically. I can't help but feel, and it's interesting because I don't want to be repetitive from other live streams. I'm sure I am to some degree, but there was some times in the past where I have where I've had said to people, like I'll talk about people who are they feel like they're kind of ready to embark on something new, but become kind of frightened and then run back to the old. Okay. And I'm not going to disparage anybody who does that, like I've said, because I think some people feel when I say, well, you should strive for the new, like that I'm criticizing them for going to the old. But, because people say, well, I have to worry about, paying my bills. I have to worry about, and I understand. I'm not gainsaying what anybody's individual needs are. And that's the thing. I was doing a life path with somebody yesterday, and we were just talking about Mars and Mars energy. And because this person had a lot of Mars energy too. And we both tend to be just very direct about what we say. And I said, as a coach, I always have to be careful about that, because I found myself, I had 5 hours of appointments yesterday, and I was just like, I had to find myself not sometimes saying, do this, don't do that. That's not something, I'm like, no, not that you should or don't. This is what if I was in your position, this is kind of what I would recommend. I try not to get involved in the, in all the drama of, I'll say something. And sometimes though, I think if somebody, feels very distressed about something or and I'm not saying this person did, but I mean, if they seem like they're kind of at their wit's end about something, then sometimes I'm just like, look, this is what you need to do. Because I always feel like that I need to bring a grounding influence in, because sometimes people can start to catastrophize and say, well, this is going to happen. And then if that happens, this is going to happen. And then that happens. And I'm like, wait a minute, where are you? What's happening right now? Like, let's just stay right there, Okay. What I feel like a lot of what's happening though is because we're moving from Capricorn to Aquarius, at least in terms of where Pluto is, and also as of 2025, we're going to be moving into a space that's no longer earth and water, but it's rather fire and air, because Neptune's going to move into Aries. You're going to have a lot of this. I'm trying to think what else is moving into Aries. There's something else. I don't know if it's Saturn. If Saturn's going to retrograde into Aries, because Saturn's in Pisces right now. So, that means it would go forward into Aries. There's a lot of planets that are going to be moving, towards fire and air. And then, Pluto is in Aquarius, which is an air sign. So it's going to shift the dynamic of the way things are, which is why I feel like the urgent message has been, don't hang on to the old. Now, if you're somebody who believes in dimensional expansion and stuff, that's a kind of thing that's concurrent with that. And honestly, if I'm just going to be totally honest from my current experience and what's kind of happened over this year, I do feel like there has a timeline shift that has occurred. I feel like it occurred somewhere around June, July, and possibly another. I feel like, at least in my life, okay, but I feel like there's been a jump. Like there's just certain things that, like I feel like there was a track we were on and now we've jumped a track. Like that track is not going to be the track. And of course, like I said, the messages I got was like, yeah, you're not going to be on that track. I guess the one message about politics that still remains to be seen is whether or not, because my guides still insist that Kamala's not gonna be the nominee. I'm like, she's the nominee. She's the nominee, and they're like, bleh. So I don't know. I don't know if there's some other shift that's going to occur. I mean, honestly, I don't think she's a bad choice, and that what's going on is bad. But who knows what's going to happen between now and November? It seems like a lifetime has happened just in the month of July. So I mean, just going on to that point for a moment about what I've been told, but so right now I'm just kind of saying, okay, I'm excited for whoever the nominee is, but that's why I'm kind of reserving my judgment a little bit till I know how that plays out. But point being is that we are moving into a new space, and I think a lot of people have felt that we were going to be continuing to slide down, I don't even want to say slide down, because I'm a big fan of the Catonic. I don't even want to talk about it in those terms. Just sliding into a place that is toxic. Okay, I think there's a worry that we are going to get ourselves stuck in a very toxic place, and this is saying no. You want to let go of that old and you want to embrace the new. Because I think what this is saying, I think the reason I keep talking about this is because with Thoth, I think if people are staying behind, this could be a lot more difficult if people choose to stay behind in whatever way that manifests for them. So, there seems to be the word acceleration's coming into my mind. I feel like there's an acceleration of healing here. There's an acceleration of healing wounds so that we're kind of ready for the new place. It's like we're trying to get rid of forces that could potentially be destructive. If I think about it in terms of Hindu mythology, it's almost like we need another Vishnu avatar to come in and sort things out, because something is balanced towards something that is not healthy for the collective. There's been a lot of focus on the collective. So Thoth suggests to me that there's just a lot that's going on. So a lot of people are going to find just on an individual level that their karma is that just stuff is going to start happening, and things are just kind of going to be in your face all of a sudden. It's going to be like, why are these things happening to me? Why is it one thing after another? But because it's being given an opportunity to heal all of that. Now we do have Osiris here. Now Osiris, king of the underworld, right? But Osiris is, he's represented by the jet here, which is the stylized tree. And this tree, you think about tree, it's that rootedness. It's that kind of being in your center point. That's what I'm hearing in my head. Be in your center point, be in the middle of it. Kind of what I've said about being in the place of stillness. Be in the, as this chaos goes around you, and as you start kind of dealing with all this stuff, there's almost this sense to be solid, to be in the center. Now, to be solid doesn't mean to be rigid in this case. Okay, it's not about being rigid and saying, I'm gonna, tenaciously cling to whatever it is that I feel like I need to cling to. Now, I think this is saying kind of to be in your center, because Osiris is a card that's, again, it's fire energy. It's either Sagittarius or Aries, depending on how you want to look at it. So it's kind of saying, and that's an energy of somebody who is a wise leader, who has good judgment, this sort of emperor vibes, like the person who's got it under control, who's got it together. And it also seems to indicate, this is also a card to me of stability, of kind of being able to be kind of sure in, you have to be sure in who you are, and then, kind of try to find that still place, whether you do it through meditation. Meditation is probably the best way, but having some kind of a regular meditative practice or something like that to kind of just keep you in that center place. As I said months ago, I do actually recommend Amma's integrated Amrita meditation, which I did do a post about it a while back, where I gave a link to the page. If anybody wants it again, I can certainly repost it. But if they go to amma.org and look up IAM, they'll find, and then maybe meditation after that, they'll find the page. So it's, and I recommend that one. And actually, reminds me, I said I've been so on the go since I've gotten up, I haven't actually sat down and done it in a couple of days. But actually in a few days. I did do it on Monday before the program. But that, it's just, if you are all over the place, it is the absolute best centering meditation. So I'm just throwing that out there as a suggestion. It's obviously not a directive, but people who say, well, I meditate and it doesn't do any good and I can't figure it out, that's one that it's okay, it's a little bit of a process, but you get there. And there's a 20 and a 35, and I always recommend the 35. The 20 I've done, but the 20 I feel like has too much empty space in it. I feel like the 35 is the one that is the best one. But then some people, if they're like, oh, well, I don't want to have to, think about it in spiritual terms or in terms of the guru, then, they might not want to do that one. But personally, I've taken both classes and I prefer the 35. So anyway, side note. So our outcome here is Horus. So yeah, more fire. That's really interesting. We've got air and fire showing up here. And actually, this is Aquarian energy. Thoth, I don't know if she's actually, what is Thoth connected with in terms of, I'm trying to think what Murray Hope connects this card with. I don't remember which astrological sign. But we've got all fire and air in here, right? So the message here is that this is what we're moving towards. This is kind of the new reality that's going to reflect it in some way. And that this portal is almost like, and of course with the Lion's Gate being Leo, and Horus is also a card of Leo, this is kind of moving us in that direction. But Horus also seems to indicate just kind of staying in your center and really being true to who you are. Okay, and it's kind of saying in the end you're going to see how you're going to get through any difficulties with healing. Actually both Thoth and Horus are cards of healing in this deck. There's 4 healing cards in this deck. There's Thoth, Horus, Bast, and Nepenthes. And Nepenthes has to do with preventative care. Bast has to do with psychosomatic illness. Thoth has a lot more to do with this healing of the spirit. And Horus has more to do with healing the physical body. But Horus also, they all have to do with healing on various levels. So to me, Horus is about, it's about heroics. Horus is the one who battles with Seth and, eventually, triumphs. This is about eventually triumphing over your difficulties. But you do it by kind of just staying true to who you are. So basically, I think what it's saying is that whatever you choose to do, you want to be true to who you are. And I don't know. I still feel like with retrograde, like there's a lot of opportunities for correction and so forth. So I don't think that's a bad thing. Oh, I've got my deck Mercury retrogrades right on the bottom. It has been interesting with that. I was uploading yesterday's live stream to YouTube. Was I uploading all of them? I think it was just yesterday's. I decided let me do it right away because if I wait, then I was doing some other stuff yesterday morning. I've been prepping for my classes. I put a long update on Catonia because I didn't do a live stream there this week. But as I was working on my classes before I started my appointments, all of a sudden after I uploaded it, my internet just inexplicably went out. It wasn't like there was high winds or anything. It just inexplicably went out. And power went out. Actually, that's right, the power went out. And then it suddenly came back. So I was just like, okay, I hope that was just a test. I hope that's not going to happen today. Because, fortunately it wasn't raining when that happened. But let's see what, put this over here for a minute. Let's move some stuff around. Okay, so let's see. Let's see what our cards are for today. Oops. Just saw the South Node pop up. So, let's see what we've got. Okay, so let's see who we have this morning. Oh, interesting. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. Wow, now that's interesting because we had a whole lot of fire and air cards in Cartouche, and now we've got a lot of earth and water cards. But we're starting with the Grand Trine, okay? So Grand Trines are nice. In fact, I did a chart yesterday where somebody had a Grand Trine. I have one in my chart. Grand Trines give you the energy of a particular element. So, like, I have a Grand Fire Trine, so that I have planets in all of the houses that are fire. So I have them in Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so that creates, that means that, what's connected with fire element, it's almost like I have a natural advantage there. The person will have it. And it will make you kind of, so with fire energy, that can be, that can create a certain intensity, a certain amount of action. Trines in general, there's something that adds that blessing, that adds that sense of advantage, natural advantage. It's a good card in your poker hand, right? It's something like that. So this is just saying this is going to be a time of natural advantage for people, or where their natural advantages are going to be highlighted. Okay, this is the atmosphere we're working in. But we're working in the environment of Virgo. Okay, so yeah, so really the key is just that, okay, so we have these blessings. We're actually going to be in a time of great increase and blessing. But with Virgo energy, that suggests that there's still work to be done. There's still cleanup to be done. I think, didn't that come up in the first one? Yeah, like cleanup to be done. So it's a matter of, because Virgo is about getting organized, you know, dotting the I's, crossing the T's, like getting everything set so that so everything is organized. So, yeah, so we're kind of in a period right now, and I think that is also at least one of the functions of retrograde, because Mercury retrograde, they will tell you not to, during Mercury retrograde, not to start anything new, but rather to finish old business. So this is a really good time for finishing up old stuff. That's the environment we're in right now. Now, the advice that we have here, but also, okay, I'm doing a 4-card here, so that's also a position of kind of the what you should not do, like, or what's yet to come. So I do still think it has to do with cleanup, but I think it's also saying blessings are increasing, so don't worry, because Virgo is a card of worry. It's a card of, you know, where we scramble to maintain a routine or to do a routine, and I think it's saying, yeah, don't do that. You know, don't do that. What you should do is, we have the Mercury card. Okay, so again, I still say that there's this cleanup going on, but Mercury is about you know, forward thinking. Again, this is air rather than water, right? Because it's you know, I was just saying there was earth and water in here, but actually I'm not looking at it right. Well, actually no. 4th house is water. Virgo is earth. This is air. So. Yeah, so Mercury is saying, you know, this is the time to plan, to think, to communicate, to network with people. That this is the thing that we're moving towards. And again, that really fits in with the theme of trying to be more open or trying to be more community oriented, because Mercury is broader. It's about the broader perspective. It's about communication, and it's about movement. The air card that I have in my cartouche deck, air is actually, Mercury is one of the elements of that. So, and also Mercury is about messages and paying attention to messages as well. But I feel like it's saying that this is a time to be reaching out to people, and also finding a new way of expression, finding a new way to get messages across, or to or to think about things, because Mercury has a lot to do with the logical mind and how we think about things. But our outcome here is the 4th house. Okay, that's our technically this is water, because the 4th house is Cancer energy, and with the 4th house we've got the roots though. So again, we've got the tree again. We had the tree in the other reading. Now we've got a tree in this reading as well. Okay, so that to me it is about finding your place. I think there may be a similar vibe here to what this is saying about stay in your center. But the fact that 4th house comes up here specifically suggests to me that somehow something's rooted in the past. So it may be a sense of excavation, like that may be what we're dealing with, like excavating wounds, excavating the past. What happened before that needs to be cleared out or moved ahead in the present. And I feel like that's where our advantage is going to be. Our advantage is going to be able to figure out where the past connects with the present, and it's going to be where we can expand and go forward. But right now, I think there's just a time of resolving the past, okay? And that kind of can help us find our rootedness, because, like I said, we were talking the other day about how we're saying, okay, don't live in the past, live in the present. But if we didn't resolve the past when at the time it was the present, then I think it can still come in and be an influence on the present. So, there's a lot of air energy, a lot of mental energy, a lot of thinking about things in a new way. And at the bottom of the deck we have South Node again. So this is the payment of debts. It's a time of the South Node always has to do with where we've been and what it is that we need to clear out in order to move forward. So there's a lot of energy here about being clear about who you are and about moving forward. Let's see what else I have here. Yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff. I actually have, like I said, I have a whole shelf full, but these are the ones that called out to me today. Okay. So these are the runes. Okay. All right, so the 4 runes we have are, and my south node is in my 4th house. There you go. That's interesting, you know? That one's for you, I think, yeah. South node's in the 4th house, yep. My Pluto is in my 4th house. So, my natal Pluto anyway. So, yeah, 4th house. 4th house stuff has been for a lot of people. People are dealing with a lot of family issues right now, or family stuff that's coming up, and trying to negotiate that. It's very interesting. Okay, our first rune here is Odila, okay, which is a rune of separation and separating paths, okay? So, again, separating from the old. There's, as I've talked about it, it's kind of like we have to make the decision to walk away from the old way, you know? And that may also have to do with the way that we're dealing with the past. So in your case, if you have a south node in the 4th house, that means your north node is in the 10th. And that's, yeah, so you are, again, that's a house of what we're doing for the community, what we're doing. Speaking of heroics, going back to Horus, if we look at the traditional hero's journey, as, say, Joseph Campbell would have stated it, you start with the child who lives kind of in a pastoral kind of life, like idyllic. But then at some point, but they're usually like a divine child of some kind, who there is either a father figure or an uncle who wants to destroy them. Okay, at least this is the very masculine version of the myth. And so the child, grows up in this kind of, it's like kind of taken away or spirited away, and has kind of a nice, kind of uneventful, quiet, playful, pastoral, like in nature. But then at some point a crisis occurs. And now this hero, divine child, is challenged to go out, and oftentimes it could be fighting with the same father figure. It could be father, uncle figure, whatever it is. So there could be a battle that goes on there. It could be, whatever it is. It could be, like Perseus with Medusa. There's a male figure who, after his idyllic childhood, where he escapes from death from King Acrisius, then he is now there's this other king who is going, trying to take his mother against her will. So, and he manages to send him off on a quest. So there's always this idea that we are going off into what our challenge is, to what our battle is. Or you're going off into the forest in search of treasure, or whatever the heroic quest is, okay? You go after that thing, and there's different, usually magical figures, usually anima figures, if it's the man, like, who help along the way. But then once they achieve the treasure or the goal or whatever it is, then they come back to where they were, and that is a treasure now that they will share with the community. Okay, so that's kind of the stages of development. You reach a point, when you're trying to figure out your life purpose, where it's kind of like, what battle are you going to fight? And again, that's very patriarchal, but that's kind of the idea. And then we get to a point where, and that's something that I've always said that, like, action movies and things have missed, because when they talk about the hero of a particular thing, I mean, we think of a hero as somebody also with tragic flaws. A hero is not a perfect individual. But if we look at the myth of the divine hero, it's, oh my God, wow, yeah. And the one thing that's often forgotten when you have somebody who seems like this invincible, untouchable super person, what it is that whatever it is that they achieve is something that they're supposed to now come back and bring back and share. That now this is about settling. It's not about running around. The Odyssey is probably a good example of that, because Odysseus, at the end of all of his looting and pillaging and all of his weird adventures in these different places and all the mistakes he makes, he gets back home again, and now it's like, okay, now you're, Tiresias tells him you're going to plant your ore. Now you're going to stay home, and now you're going to be, you're basically, now that you've gone through all of this, it's like now you're home, and this is like the gifts from that or something that you're bringing back home, So it's kind of like that coming around. But there's a demanding here that we separate from the past, because we are moving into a new era, and it's saying the old ways of doing things are not going to suffice. Now the challenge here is we have Algiz, okay? And Algiz is a rune of protection. This is the rune of the elk. And so I feel like it's saying that protection is a thing. I think that suggests to me that we feel threatened a lot of times. Like that separation is going to threaten us in some way. That if I separate, I'm putting myself in an unsafe space for some reason. But Algiz is saying you're separating in a protected environment. Okay, that seems to be the thing. Now the advice here is interesting because it's Nautiz, and Nautiz is like a rune that's connected kind of to Saturn energy, and this is a rune of restriction. Okay, so in other words, what the rune, at least the way I've been taught it, is that it's kind of like, okay, you might be facing some limitations right now, but you know, it teaches you, number one, not to take the world personally. Okay, again, kind of being true to yourself and being content to wait for the proper time for things to grow. That can be another meaning of Thoth, by the way, is that divine timing. You know, you need to wait for things to happen at the right time. So a lot of times I think if we feel like I'm trying to move into this new space, but I feel stuck and things aren't happening, and you know, and maybe it's futile, maybe I should go back to the way it was. It's just saying, no, everything's moving in its proper time. And in the meantime, you are protected. Okay, that could be another meaning of Osiris too, that things are in fact stable and secure, even though I think a lot of people may feel that they're not. Our outcome is Tewaz, and this is a very masculine rune. And Tewaz is the warrior rune. Okay, so it's but again, it suggests that patience is required, like not lusting after an outcome. That we so that we are in a space where we are. I guess to use Castaneda's term, you're spiritual warriors, right? We're all kind of here, and actually the term warrior does seem to fit, because to a certain degree there are things that I feel like we're fighting. Whether it's whether we're fighting an urge to return to the past, or whether we're just fighting forces that we feel may not be to the collective benefit. Okay, you know, that there's this thing going on, but there's also a sense of having to wait for the right time for things to come in. So overall, what I'm seeing so far, now my crown chakras are going crazy. I feel like it's what part of the message here is that if we feel blocked or we feel limited in some space, we don't want to take it personally. We don't want to say, God, the universe, whomever is out to get me and hates me. It's just that things are moving in their proper time. And so in the meantime, the thing that you want to do is clean up your space, clean up what you're doing, and then get yourself into a space where you feel, where you feel secure in who you are and what you're doing. So even if people come in and attack you and say, oh, I don't like what you're doing, it's stupid, whatever, whatever people do, or whatever the attack is, or, oh, you can't possibly do things that way, you're going to fail at this, you're not going to have that, whatever it is, being secure in yourself to say, yeah, I understand what you're concerned about, but this is who I am, this is where I'm at, and I'm trusting that this is going to work. And you'll feel, I think we never totally feel 100%. We're kind of like, I think that's probably the truer sense of having faith, and it's not like just having faith in something that's clearly not real, but just saying, yeah, even with everything that seems unclear right now, I'm feeling like I'm on the right path, right? And what's our first card today here? Patience. Again, patience, our inner feeling, that place of maturity, knowing that we're kind of going into a new place, because aces obviously are new things and new forms of security, right? But we're coming at it from a place of experience. We're not coming at it blind, okay? But the mind, of course, is what we're the external feeling. The mind is coming in and saying, yes, but what about this and what about that? And oh, this thing happened, so these 10 terrible things are going to follow it. The mind gets involved. And we know that the mind is getting involved. That's the external thing of which we're aware. We're like, and I've heard that a lot this week from a lot of people. Yeah, wow, I'm overthinking this, aren't I? I've heard it a lot. So, there's our Leo energy. This is the courage card. This is strength. Okay, so yeah, you're in a place that seems it seems difficult, but you're still going to be able to grow. Like you still have this energy here, this energy that will allow you to move into the space that you need to move into, right? And our outcome card is the outsider. So again, that has to do with looking back to the past. It's funny because we ended with the fourth house, right? This is like, yeah, don't look back to the past. Because the meaning of the card is, throw the tape away that says, I'm an outsider, I'm not good enough. Okay? Throw that away because you know who you are. You know who you are. And if you're not sure about anything about the future, the one thing you want to be sure of is yourself. Because a lot of times these changes are precipitated because we know we want to move in a different direction, but we're skeptical of whether or not we're actually going to be able to do it. So, yeah, so this is kind of like saying that we still may be telling ourselves, like, I don't know if I'm going to be accepted by people. I don't know if my idea is going to be accepted. I don't know. And if people attack us in any way, then somehow I think we kind of feel like, like that's almost like it ends up validating the inner critic, right? And then that, we get this sense of like, oh, it upsets us more than like 20 people complimenting us because it allows us to say, oh, well, gee, maybe I am wrong. Maybe I am on the wrong path. Maybe I'm not capable of doing this. Maybe nobody's going to like what I'm doing. But this is saying, no, you are on the path. It's just a matter of things coming in at the right time. It's and I think what we're being called to do is not to live in that space where we think that we're alone. I mean, there is a separation that's taking place, but that doesn't mean you're alone and unsupported. Okay, we can separate and blaze our own trail, but that doesn't mean we're not going to have the helpers. Okay, and that's something too, because I think sometimes we feel like now I'm going to carry all this burden by myself. If I separate from whatever, if I separate from this job, then I'm going to do a new thing and nobody's going to like it, nobody's going to support me. If I leave this relationship, even if it's toxic, then it's like but what am I going to do if I don't find anybody? Or what if I'm not, nobody wants to go out and all kinds of things that we potentially could tell ourselves in various situations. If I don't like these family members, but I kind of have to, and I feel like they're toxic and they treat me horribly, but I feel like I have to kind of maintain a relationship just because I have to be there for this. There's some reason. Family's just only supposed to stay together, so I just have to swallow it and get over it. No, these are all things that we are contending with, and I'm pulling some. Finishing up with some essential oil cards here. Ooh, interesting ones that we've got today. Faith, cleansing, and resolution. And I just talked about faith, right? Spikenard oil. Okay, that's the first one. And the key word here is faith. And the trigger statement is, why does this always happen to me? And the true statement is, I am at peace. So there, again, being in that center, right? That Osiris energy. Know that everything will work out as it needs to and hold a space of gratitude as you watch miracles unfold. Okay? Yeah. That's really a very good summary of the cartouche reading. It's like saying, there's a lot here about, we are in that lion's gate, so we're talking about this aspect of Leo that's courage. Don't lose faith in what you're doing. Because, just because things may not be happening fast enough or happening in the way that you think that they are, frequently things don't happen in the way we think. So that's why they tell us to remain unattached to outcomes. That, by the way, is another element of the rune Tewa, the last one that we got. Don't attach yourself to outcomes. The next card we have is the detoxification oil. Okay, and the key word here is cleansing. The trigger statement is, I will never change. The true statement is, in each moment, I am a new me. Wow, okay? Yeah, this idea of, you are new. Like, just try to feel what it's like to be in your new skin and to be a new you. That is something I've definitely felt, I can tell you that. Like, that was something I've been contemplating this morning. I'm like, I just feel, like, even when I went to the program on Monday, I was talking to a friend and we were talking about the stuff that went on with the satsang group and everything years ago. And it was a lot of unnecessary drama about stuff. And and a lot of those people, like, they didn't acknowledge me. Damn, yeah. It was, they didn't acknowledge me. And he's like, yeah, well, they probably, I'm sure that they were thinking, oh, that's her, I don't want to talk to her. But literally the message I got was, no, it's like you're a different person. They don't know who you are at this point. I mean, it's possible they could have recognized me, but I did not feel that they did. I felt like it was like I was a different person to them. You know, I wasn't, it's like, I don't, you know, even if I looked somewhat familiar, it's like, I feel like I was a different person, so it was weird. Okay, so the message on here is you are supported as you release habits and limiting patterns, we're talking about limitations, right, that are not serving your highest, I'm going to say your best interest. I don't always like highest good because good and evil I think are value judgments. Whatever your best interest is, okay? And finally we have the Douglas Fir card. And our keyword here is resolution, okay? The trigger statement is, oh my God, the past haunts me. The past haunts me. The true statement is, in this moment, I am free. And we talked about this a lot. Remember we had the understanding card, the bird flying out of the cage? Let yourself be the one to heal the wounds passed down from your ancestors. The release and growth begins with you. Yeah, right? It's funny. That's why I'm putting a little more stock in these cards. Like I did my readings last week with these. I'm not sure if I'm going to do the Aries through. I've gotten 1 or 2 comments, and the Sagittarius card, freedom. Yes, yeah, exactly. A lot of Sag energy too, and faith actually is an element of the 9th house. So yeah, there's a lot of, and again that fire and Osiris. According to Murray Hope, Osiris is Sag, even though I think there's also Aries elements there, but it's Sag. So yeah, a lot of this energy of, and people's ninth houses seem to be really lit up lately, and that's Jupiter, that's expansion, that's you know going boldly where you have not gone before, to quote a famous sci-fi TV series. That's a this is you. This is like saying that you are free, that you are, like, this is a time of, like, cleansing aspects of yourself that aren't part of who you are, and just having faith that you're going in the right direction. So, interesting today. And again, as always, I'm always interested to see how these readings unfold and develop and how they support each other. The message is pretty much the same. And I don't have any cards pre-picked, obviously, so it's just like, what comes up. And then the runes as well. The runes are definitely pointing towards this, this energy of kind of being free to be who we are, being free to be who we want to be. And I think what I'm getting a lot of the messages is kind of like, just be reassured. Like that was a phrase that I heard a lot too, like reassurance. And I've had that with clients too, reassurance that, you're not, it's not you. I mean, even if you're facing criticism, or even if you're facing certain things, it's just the key here is to just you're confident in who you are and what you're doing, and you have to recognize that as part of this game, there's always going to be people who are going to be opposing you in this game, and you just need to be ready to persist in what it is, but also be aware that there may be some things that you have to wait for their proper time to come in. But I don't feel like that time is very far off for a lot of people. I do feel like, we are getting into a space where we are going to, where time is just, I don't know. I just feel like we're going to, like it's saying you have to wait for the proper time, but I don't feel like we're waiting all that long. I mean, we're not that far away from 2025. And if what the angels are telling me are correct, 2025 is not going to be the train wreck that a lot of people think it is. I think the global slide in towards authoritarianism, which I've been watching over the last 10 years, maybe a little longer, maybe at least since 2008. Remember, the 2008 influences of the Capricorn, Pluto and Capricorn, are now coming to an end. And I think that was part of it. So I think it's saying, no, we're by the time we get past that, then things are shifting back into Aquarius, and things are shifting into Aquarius for like the next, I think, is it the next 40 years? It's a long Pluto and Aquarius transit. So, very interesting. What's going on? So anyway, probably the overall message here is to just be reassured and just to stick to who you are and what is the right thing for you to do. So, I think it's suggesting that we already know what it is. That's the maturity card. You already know what it is. It's just, have the courage to do it, and don't let people tell you that you're not good enough, you're not wanted, and you're on the outside. So, Okay, so thanks for joining me today. Everybody, it's I think these mornings, more and more people, I'll get messages later saying, "Oh, I woke up late" and so forth. But we are going to start to move these to a later time, and yeah. So I've got to work on readings today. I'm getting a Kickstarter together for the school I was telling people about, and I'm kind of being pushed to do that. I know it's Mercury retrograde, but I kind of feel like it's a project I started a while ago, and now I need to kind of finish up. So, thank you. Big messages for you for sure. But yeah. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm glad that they are. It does feel like, especially some of this stuff will really resonate. But yeah, I think we're kind of in this group thing that's going on here for a lot of people, but it's affecting people differently. If people don't want to move towards the future, then they may feel there may be things even they may feel even more stuck. But if you are future thinking, you could still feel some doubt about moving towards the future. So I think it's just saying, no, don't feel any doubt about it. So have a great rest of your day. Today's Friday. So yeah, I'll be here tomorrow. So have a good start to your weekend, and we will see you tomorrow morning. Take care.